right. Thanks everyone for joining the Beyond Consulting podcast today. I'm very delighted and have today Patrick Dahlmann with me. He's a passionate, dynamic, entrepreneurial technology leader and manager focused on agile, effective, adaptive product development. And what that means, I think he will explain in a second to you. But also, he's been long time active in the field of creating digital software solutions. And he's, for example, been DevOps lead at Trusted Shops. That is, a lot of you will know that little yellow black icon that pops up when you buy something online and protects customers. So he's been the DevOps leader there. And the last 5 years he spent as at DKV Mobility, one of the leading B2B mobility solutions providers in the field of web portal development, app UX, and AI as lately vice president. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Many thanks for having me, Christian. Yeah, thanks for the introduction.
And today, I mean, we talked a little bit. You've scaled a team massively at DKV in the last couple of years. We want to talk about this today, about the mobility sector and how consultants can play a role in that picture. But maybe before we get into all of these hard topics, I mean, you've worked across consulting, tech, and now mobility. What led you to DKV Mobility, and what excites you most about leading a transformation in this sector?
Good question. So at the end, in beginning of 2020, as we had the first contact points with DKV, that I had the first contact points with DKV, the idea about what DKV Mobility wants to do was quite fitting to me, what I like to do. So what do I like to do? So at the end, I'm working since, I don't know, 15 years or so in software engineering, digitization, digital transformation. So this is somehow me all about in my work life and partially in my private life as well. So this was what DKV wanted to do and to digitize their business. And one of my main tasks was to stabilize the web environment, whatever that means. On the one hand, and from the business side, it was, it is about growth. It was about growth and it is about growth. Now, DKV Mobility is a two-digit growth company since more than a decade, I believe. And we keep growing like this. And this is why I wanted to join DKV, because of the journey, let's say so. And why I'm still at DKV, because, DKV is having DKV is having the willingness to win gen, you know what I mean? So it's about, I don't know, bias for execution. So everyone wants to do something now and not yesterday. And why we are talking about now, I don't know, and guidelines. So let's just execute. So this is DKV, and this is why I'm still there. Yeah.
And I looked it up before. So, I mean, DKV is there since 90 years. So it's quite a company with history, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's in 50 countries. It says it's mobility solutions, but what is it actually that you're doing there? Maybe to explain that, if I had to explain it to my grandmother, I love the grandmother question. But if I had to say, what is DKV doing? What is a mobility service company doing? And what is it that you actually do for your customers to get a more picture of also like what that looks like to our audience?
First, DKV is really something like a hidden champion. No? So just to make a size here, last year we had more than, if I'm not totally wrong, 19 billion euro transaction volume via our system. So just to get the size here, we have more than 2,600 employees. So it's really a big company, but not a lot of people know the company because we are mainly in the B2B sector. So what do we do? We have most likely 4 business areas or business dimension where we can refer to. So we have one, the energy sector. That means everything which is happening on the road transaction wise, we would like to play a game in. So in as easy a fuel card or a service card where you can pay your fuel. So imagine you are a logistic company, a fleet company, and a fleet manager of those, or maybe you are a consultant and you drive through Europe. Then you need to fuel up, you need to toll. This is another business dimension. And you need to pay taxes on that one. So happy, and you get then a lot of different receipts, right? Which you need to put into your accounting, da 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 da. So if you don't want to do this, you use DKV. So why? Because you get one invoice once in a month or every 2 weeks, and then you have everything consolidated exactly on your invoice. This is what we do, and especially all of the acceptance stations like fuel stations, toll bridges, and so on and so forth. We are far the biggest one here. And now let's combine this with another dimension of our business domains, let's say financial solutions. So now imagine you paid with our card or maybe with our smartphone app. You have all your transactions from your last 2 weeks within our systems. Then you drove through Europe, you have a lot of different taxations, and you would like to have, of course, as B2B business, your money back, right? So from the taxes. Have fun if you need to do this with 7 financial authorities all over Europe, or financial solution of DKV, Remobis. We take care about your taxations, and you get then directly liquidity, and we do the rest with financial authorities. So this is what we do as well. And now combined with the fourth other business domain, it's about mobility solutions, and there we are really in the digital sector. If you are, for example, a logistic company, you drive through a country where the tolling is mainly radar-based, let's say so, then it could happen that you drive not via the motorway where you need to, or the autobahn where you need to pay taxes via the bridge, you are next to it. But it could happen due to radar that it's then on your invoice and then you need to claim it. For that, we offer tools where you can do this quite easily with our DKV Analytics Premium product. So this is really a software as a service product which combines every data which you have from you where you drove, where you can really check if everything is valid which you have on your invoice. Because we are then relying on the suppliers all over Europe. So this is mainly what we do. So in a nutshell, energy, toll, financial solutions, and mobility solutions with our digital portfolio. And at the end, it's about helping our customers to be more efficient in everything what they do and to earn money with everything what they do. So, and this is everything on the road with mobility. We're playing a game with.
It's fascinating. So if we turn it around and say, look, DKV was not there, basically, as I understand it, all the commercial drivers, all the lorries, people would need to pay on the way themselves, hand all these receipts in. Of course, that would be a dramatic overload in terms of administration.
Exactly.
And of course, that is evolving. Where do you see the biggest challenges of the industry going forward? So we hear a lot, of course, from the logistics industry. They have high cost pressure. The fuel prices are up. The energy prices are up. But I mean, that is something affecting probably everyone. So what do you see as the biggest challenges of the mobility industry from your end?
From the mobility industry where DKV is, or DKV Mobility is playing a game in, I would say we need to split up a bit the environment where we are in. So what I learned as I started at DKV, it's not as easy as it was in the companies before where I worked in terms of whom we are serving as customer or end user. So for example, a logistic company is having different kind of personas which are interacting with DKV Mobility. So we have, for example, the truck driver, we have the fleet manager who's taking care about the cost and try to sort the fleet as best as he can. Then we have a dispatcher who try to do revenue. Then we have other company buckets. No? So the typical car fleet companies which we are serving as well. Then you have a convenient company car driver or maybe a sales representative, which is, I don't know, 80,000 kilometers in a year on the road. They have fleet managers as well, but they play a bit a different game than the fleet manager from the truck company. So it's really heterogeneous. And I would say, so if we focus on the logistic part of our business, it's important to understand that it's not only about the DB Schenkers or DAXA in the world. It's more about, I think, 90% something are really small logistic companies with up to 5 trucks or so. So that means that their need of digitization of their processes is far lower than a big company. So the biggest ones, really the biggest ones, they have a lot of digitization because otherwise they cannot steer their fleet about 5,000 trucks or so. But the small ones, they have not really the need. So if you would like to digitize the overall mobility logistic area, we need to have everyone which is playing in the game digitized. So this is a bit one of the challenges where we are working on. So we launched really a transport management system exactly for those. Yeah. So maybe to that later. Never mind. And if you go to the fleet area, there's one special key in. So the fleet managers are happy with us if they have most likely not a lot of interactions with us and their car driver. So they would like to do their business as quiet as possible because they have to steer a really big fleet and they are most likely squeezed in their work. And the company car drivers or the sales representatives, they have only indirect connections with us. So that means we are communicating often via the fleet managers. And then we have a lot of lost in the chain communication. So this is a challenge. So we have great features, but sometimes maybe they easily don't know because we cannot reach them directly. So this is a bit a challenge which I see. And in a nutshell, in addition, always, so if you would like to change fast, everything where you have hardware dependencies, it takes time. So if you talk about payment terminals all over our acceptance stations like charge point operators, if you're talking about e-mobility, if you talk about payment terminals within every gas stations where you have maybe a single owner who's operating it. So if you would like to transfer there something or to change there something, it takes time because hardware dependency is always a challenge, I would say so.
Yeah, and I could imagine also they exchange it basically once it breaks, right?
As always.
That can take a long time, maybe if it was built in a good way. Yeah, I mean, could you, and you say like that is, of course, a digitalization challenge, especially with those smaller companies where on scale, I mean, it's a lot of companies, even across all the geographies, that you help to become more digital and automate the processes. And what was the situation like when you joined 5 years ago? Maybe you can give us a bit of a glimpse, and maybe also there is an example that you can share, yeah, how that transformation comes across. I remember when we first spoke, you mentioned you had a team of about 60 to 80 people or so. Now that is completely different. Yeah. How was the journey? Where did it start and where are you now?
Yeah. So if we go through the different point in time, so then I tried to create somehow a journey about what we did. So in 2020, if you would like to differentiate between what did we do for transformation in terms of tech, business model, and culture. So these are three I believe valid buckets where we can talk about. So if you talk about tech now, technology wise, from now on, I would say we are really, really at top notch, to be honest. So we are completely in the cloud. We do 1,000 of releases in a year. Everything is automated. My developer are, I don't know, up to 20%. They code with AI tools, right? So the technology within DKV from 2020, where we are at the classical hosting provider, have a wonderful monolith, 2-layer architecture up to now, completely in the cloud, Kubernetes setup, completely virtualized, everything automated. I would say this was one of the biggest transformations, and now we are really at the top notch, I would say. So in terms of technology, is really great. So if you would like to love to work in a company which is using the latest and greatest technology chain tools, yeah, then please join DKV. So business models. Still, our energy sector is one of the biggest one, and is the biggest one from DKV Mobility, and is the one which will be the biggest one for the next couple of years, definitely as well. There we see really a transformation from just a physical card where you can authorize to having it more digital. So like being able to pay with our smartphone app directly at the station. So for example, if you talk about gas, so you can pay with our smartphone app without joining the gas stations, and then you can fuel and pay with a smartphone app. You can just drive. So it feels like it's strange because you paid with your phone and you're not joining the gas station cashier. So it feels strange, but it works. So this is a bit what we see where the car drivers are trying it out, especially in COVID. It was a quite cool win. And in addition, the business model is not changing, I would say so, but we are adding different new business models. So from the transactional energy and toll business, in addition to, for example, a very much more digital recurring revenue business in terms of our new software as a service offerings, which we have now in our product portfolio as well compared with 2020. And culture-wise, I would say from a classical big small family-owned company to a international smaller big company was a heavy culture change for DKV in the last 5 years. So as I started, we spoke German. As I started, I believe 1,000 employees. Now, the majority of our employees are in Europe, not in Germany. And we have 2,600 employees and we speak English in the most of the meetings because always somehow is a person in which is not being able to speak German. So this is culture-wise really something which is making a big difference compared with 2020.
And how was it with your own team when you started? And how did you drive that forward?
Exactly same journey. So you referred to the ratio a bit about what for people I had in. So in Germany, I had 20, 25 internal colleagues, which were, let's say, treated as developer hands. So they were pushed from project to project to project, 3 months this, 3 months this, 3 months this, and the focus was web services. So everything which is developed with web technologies, these were their part of the game. That means as well that they had no really, beside of the stability of the software engineering in the web, they had no really direct influence and connections on the DKV product offerings. In addition, we had, as said, 60 plus externals, which are extending our normal line business for a couple of years. And it was a mixture of freelancers, different companies with some of external colleagues, and everyone brought their own skill set, their own mindset into our environment. And this was really a heavy mixture. And I decided, of course, with our former CIO and with our COO to do it a bit differently. So we did then the change to a really agile product-driven environment where we had dedicated product teams to our dedicated business areas where the software engineers are able to connect with the business. Yeah, so they're not just hands. They have ideas as well for our business. And then we really had set up agile teams. Now we have in the meanwhile 12, which are developing into our overall portal environments and app environments, completely independent from each other with a framework where they are moving into it. So, in addition, I had the opportunity to in-source. Why I wanted to in-source? Because I would like to have one direction. I do not want to have 20 to 40 directions in terms of freelancers and external companies, which bringing their own tools in, and then the internal colleagues are not able to operate because they never had the chance to work with it. So therefore, stability for me was key, and in the environment about having so much different impulses at the same time in my responsible area, it was really not a sustainable one because I was not able to decide. I do not want to work with that company anymore because I easily had no knowledge within my company. So therefore, it was about stability and in-source. So then we did really a big in-sourcing. And now in my responsible area, including the data colleagues which are now we are more than 200 people. And with them, I count now our strategic partner into it as well. So we partnered in 2022 with Intellias as our strategic partner, which is extending our line teams with continuous software engineers, architects, and so on and so forth from them. So why I decided for that, beside of that, Intellias is really a great partner, because I would like to have a bit about the possibility of having a movable mass. So what does that mean? In addition to what we did in parallel, by the way, as well, I set up a developer hub in Romania together with some colleagues. So we have now 3 different locations. So Germany, in Romania and Bucharest, I have a lot of colleagues as well, and this is not treated as a shared service center. So they are treated as colleagues in Germany. So every role is in Romania as well as in Germany. So we are completely in a mixed setup. And in addition, with Intellias, they helped us to grow in the speed as we need to grow on the one hand, and to give structured impulses from the outside into our line teams. So this is what we did. And if you ask about ratio, I like balances. So in a nutshell, I would reach 40, 30% or so. And the freelancers are only used if they are heavily specialized in something. So if they had in-depth knowledge, specialized knowledge, and they're really great in a nurture of a really narrowed topic, then we extend us with freelancers for a certain amount of time where they can help us, and where they be really able to transfer knowledge to us. So this is then where I use really freelancers. Besides that, strategic partner.
So say it's a complete shift, from that, say, 20, 60 externals, multiple vendors, multiple freelancers, to very streamlined team now. We have a strategic partnership, and for knowledge injection, you use some freelancers. How did that overall process change your picture of like dealing with vendors, dealing with freelancers?
First, what is the major benefit of a strategic partnership which we have with Intellias from my perspective? Because we are working so long together, we are really strategic partner. We are really 100% trusted to ourselves. So that means we can do things which you wouldn't do with someone who you don't know really exactly. In the same way, we can really create tons of efficiencies which we were not able to someone which we are really not knowing best. So I don't know if you talk about order processes, if you talk about I have not the budget, but I will get the budget. Can we start now? So all of these kind of processes are in a partnership very much more easy compared with a single freelancers, which is completely relying then on the cash flow, for example, often. Yeah. So and with Intellias, we know it will work, and they know it will work. And if Patrick is saying the money will come in 4 weeks, but not now, then it's okay to start now. For example, just one example. And
what struck me when you said, they are all bringing in their tools. Maybe there are also some vendors using their own tools, and of course it's then difficult. How do you bring that all together and making everyone able to work with it? Maybe it's even impossible. What's your picture there? Looking from a freelance perspective, freelancer perspective, are there specific tools that someone needs to bring that are kind of the standard tools? Or are we moving actually towards a world where every company has exactly their software stack? Unless a freelancer can know and operate that entire stack, he cannot work for that company anymore. So freelancers also then need to maybe specialize on a specific stack that fits a lot of companies. How do you see that evolving?
Yeah, exactly. So I had one example. I had to talk with a freelancer who wanted to support us within a special topic, and I create a bit about the picture. What is our environment of our tech stack? So really high level, I don't know, Azure, Kubernetes, da 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 da. And then within the special topic, it was an open source tool which is quite spread all over the world. So which we are using, and we want to have support there because we had some scaling challenges, let's say. So nothing urgent, but if we don't do something, we have an issue. And his argument was, yeah, it's great that you use it and you can do so, but I'm not really familiar with, so therefore I propose another tool. Okay. And then he was quite easy out because just because of the freelancers, I will not change our full tech stack where we know it's really a good tech stack. So if you ask about which tools, if you talk about software engineers, software consultants, architects, and so on and so forth, they should focus on. If they talk to me, yeah, everything which is in the cloud, everything around open source tools which are spread all over the world. So this is really something which is more and more used. I believe so because the open source technology will have in the next 5 to 10 years a bigger momentum than it still had in the last decade. So I truly believe this will, there's better to focus on, let's say so.
Mm-hmm. Maybe also looking a bit at the time,
Yes.
and I know you're very busy, but if you have to give an advice, to fellow leaders, but also maybe freelance consultants, but more towards the leaders, how to best use freelance resources, and how to think about it from adding capacity to your team, adding expertise to your team. How would you advise your fellow leaders?
If they, this is my belief now, if they would like to have freelancers within a running department, area, whatever, it's really valuable if you treat it in the same way as you would hire an internal employees in a more shortened way. So if you, I don't know, would like to add a specialist into it, bring into the team and ask the team afterwards about if they can work with him or her. So this is really valuable because if it's 3 months or 6 months, they must work together quite closely. So treat them as partially as an internal employee, so as good as you can and as it makes sense, I would say. So this is really which creates then a team which like to fulfill one common goal. And if you talk about specialization, of course, everything is AI and so on and so forth. But the security dimension, so IT security all over, will have a rising momentum as well in the next 5 to 10 years. So if you need to specialize on another dimension to all of the consultants and freelancers all over the world, it is valuable if you have a deeper understanding about IT security, data privacy, all over the regulatory compliance which we need to fulfill in different markets, even though that they are different from banking sector to partially regulated sectors as we are working in a non-regulated sector. So they're often valuable outside knowledge is helpful, at least for me. What I don't like is, I'm sorry to be so frankly, bullshit bingo. So don't act and communicate to me as you would be in ChatGPT or in Gemini. So I would like to have concrete examples. So if you have a statement, what we should do so, then it is for me the added value only if you can combine this with an example within my area where I'm working in. So this is then what I love. What I don't like is generic communications. Let's start with generic, what I need to do, and then give me an example within DKV Mobility, DKV Mobility, what I need to do. And then I'm happy. Then I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that is a nice end over to a last section I have here, which is a rapid fire question section.
Okay.
Just there's no right or wrong, but also not a lot of time to think. But there's a couple of questions maybe we run through. One is, and you've maybe said, don't give me generic stuff, but what business buzzword would you love to ban?
I don't want to ban business buzzwords. I want to ban people who are using business buzzwords, but currently mostly use this AI or agentic AI. Yeah.
Okay. If DKV Mobility would be a car brand or truck brand, because I understand you're doing more fleets and lorries, what would it be and why?
DKV Mobility, I would say Daimler, because Daimler is the biggest truck company all over the world. So DKV Mobility is having big ambitions. So I like that one. And if you talk about car brands, we have a completely heterogeneous. But if you talk about car brands from what I would be if I would be a car brand, I would say Audi, because Vorsprung durch Technik, ne? So advances through technology. Here we go. So,
All right. And lastly, on the digitalization part, if you could magically digitize one annoying offline process in your personal life, what would it be?
yeah, everything around governmental process.
Governmental processes. Okay. Says Patrick Dahlmann. Patrick, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. And I wish you a great and productive day.
Many thanks. You too, bye.